Look, Auntie, I'm gonna throw the computer again.
That one's kind of heavy. And it's got a lot of wires hooked into it.
I know, and it will likely not go very far, but dagnabbit all, I'm willing to take that shot right now. Because even though I had things set up, it's not working.
Well, the thing is, I've learned you can't, if you wait
And
like more than
I
like
did it 5 minutes out. That's the thing. I know to give it a little bit of time. And I did it 5 minutes out.
Hello.
Hey.
I apologize for my lateness. The Zoom code.
Everybody, we got 5 seconds. 5 seconds. I'm gonna introduce y'all and then y'all take it from there. Kaylee K 102.5 FM. Good evening and welcome once again to Community Conversations. I am Allie J. Tabor and I am joined by a group of people. I will go ahead and let our main host, Miss Quabila Jones, take over. Quabila.
Okay, well, hey y'all.
I didn't hear nobody's disclaimer.
Okay, disclaimer. Laganzi.
I'm working on something.
All right, well, I get, because Alex trying to get a stream started. We are on the radio, right?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Kayla Katie and the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. We do not endorse, support, or oppose any candidate for office. We provide these interviews for informational purposes only, but as always, we will encourage you to exercise your right to vote. Election day is November 8th. Early voting will begin October 24th, and you have until October 10th to get registered to vote, but don't wait until October 10th because it may be too late then. So just, if you're not registered to vote, just go ahead and do it now. Joining us is Chenoa Summers. She is the Democratic nominee for Arkansas Senate District 20. Now y'all can take it away.
Alrighty. And so we're also joined by one of our guest commentators, political commentators, Brittani Lewis. Thank you for joining us as well. Welcome, Chenoa. Thank you for joining us and giving us your time. I know we're limited on time, so we're going to just go jump right into it and say, what made you decide to run for this position? Like, that's the number one question.
Well, I mean, lots of things. So I'm a millennial, and I've had a hard time here in Northeast Arkansas finding a job for my background. And just to let you know what my background is, I have a degree in physics and I have a degree in environmental science. And you would think, oh, well, if you can do physics, you can do just about anything. No, it doesn't work that way. So that was one of the things that really made me want to get into this, because things need to change for young people for us to be successful. We need more jobs. We need an investment in education. We need an investment in our environment and in our future. But another thing that kind of got me into this was, and I'm sure most of y'all out there watching probably already know this, but the library fight. So my opponent just about a year ago rallied his troops to harass the library. And I just said, I can't stay silent and let this keep happening. So I decided to throw my name out there, and here we are.
All right, thank you for that. Brittani or Allie, next question.
All right, so I noticed that on your campaign website, which has a lot of great information about you, you have some main focuses that you highlight that your campaign is about. And you kind of touched on one of them for defending liberties and guarding those that you love and whatnot. If you could just talk about your platform a little bit and what really resonates with you that you would want people to know about you on election day.
Absolutely. So my three main I guess, tenets of my platform is life, liberty, and love. So for life, I want to improve the quality of life for everybody here in Jonesboro and Bono, but across Northeast Arkansas as well. Arkansas ranks last or near last in almost everything, including education, child welfare, child hunger, teen pregnancies, etc. And it's got to change. I mean, something's got to give. So one way we can do that is by giving everybody a living wage. Another thing we can do is expand Medicaid so that it covers everybody. And another thing that I'm very passionate about is improving working conditions for teachers and support staff for schools in K through 12, but also in higher ed. So I come from an educator background. I'm in academia, although I'm going back to school now for another degree. But we need to get teachers the raises they desperately need. Currently, if you're starting out as a first-time teacher straight out of college, you're not making a living wage. So it's got to change. We're losing teachers to other states. A way we can be more competitive is by giving teachers raises and bumping up the base salary. So another thing that I'm very passionate about is the right to read. I've been involved in the library fight, but also other liberties. So the right to read, the right to vote, the right to privacy, and essentially codifying reproductive rights, because we all deserve that basic right of bodily autonomy. And then my last tenet, which is love. We need to protect the LGBTQIA plus community here because they've been scrutinized and under constant harassment and attack. It just came out in the last week that the law that was preventing trans youth from getting the gender affirming healthcare that they need, that ban was blocked. So I'm definitely for protecting our trans youth and LGBTQIA plus youth and everybody.
All right, thank you for that. Allie or Lagenza, do you have a question you would like to follow up with?
I do have a question. What are some of your plans or your main plan to attract more jobs to NEA?
That's a very good question. So as a young person, I'm very, and not only as a young person, but as a scientist, somebody who went into environmental science, I'm very concerned about climate change. So one of the things that the Biden administration has recently done, so they've passed the Inflation Reduction Act. So they're going to dole out some money to states in order to essentially decarbonize the economy and create new jobs in the clean energy sector. So I would want to utilize that money instead of sitting on it or just saying we don't want it, like has happened in the past, and actually utilize it and not only convert our economy to a decarbonized economy, but also create new jobs in the process. I think that would help young people in particular, and it would attract young people here to want to, put down roots and actually want to stay here in Arkansas.
Okay, thank you for that, Lagenza.
I don't have a question just yet, but we can go to the Facebook shout outs. We do have some people, and we'll start off with Chenoa's opponent, Senator Sullivan, is on the live feed. Appreciate you for checking in. We've got Beth Benson Tennyson, Randy McCullough, Erica Aslan, Karen Patton Vardell, JD Hagler, Marissa Novotny, Stephen Summers, the spouse of Ms. Summers. Let's see, Bradley Scott Noel, Charles Harris, Rosemary Heil, and Possum Ray.
Hello,
Or Reese,
everybody.
Possum Reese. So shout out to each and every one of them on their Facebook Live feed. Looks like we got a little lively discussion. Don't really have time to get into all of the comments here, but you can definitely follow along the discussion in the comments.
Okay. So I know that Arkansas faces a myriad of issues. If you are elected, you mentioned the clean air and environmental safety, things of that nature. What is one, maybe two particular things that you would try to tackle first if you were elected?
So in regards to the environment or just anything?
Just anything, any
Okay.
issue, because you listed several under your 3 tenets. So like, what is something like you would hit the ground running on?
So number one would be tackling the teacher pay raise issue and retention of teachers here in Arkansas. So Democrats put forth a plan called the RAISE Act, which would have given teachers a $4,000 raise across the board and bumped up the base salary to $42,000 per year, which is basically a living wage. So that would have been a great starting point, but the legislature decided to instead vote on tax cuts that benefited primarily the wealthiest Arkansans. So first thing I would do is get in there and start advocating for our teachers, because they're responsible for the kids who are our future.
All right, and the education topic is very important to me. I'm not gonna get into it now, but I would love to see a lot of reform in that area, but I digress. Brittany.
Education is important to me as well. And I have that view of that early childhood education. And so those jobs as well are going through that same struggle that the K through 12 system is going through right now. Something else that I was interested in is when it comes to healthcare. And your abilities to make an influence if elected in this position on the state level. What are some things? I know there are some comments in there about insulin. We all know the price of insulin is very high. Are there any things that are a top priority for you in healthcare that affect the general public that you would love to see if you could make happen?
I already kind of mentioned it, but definitely expanding Medicaid so that more people can be on it. And honestly, it should be expanded so anybody can access it. COVID is just ravaging our population, and there's going to be a lot of people stuck with long COVID, and we're going to start seeing that as the years go on. I know a whole lot of people who have long COVID symptoms, and some of them are just not able to work. So we need a better support system in place for people who are sick. And I will say that I am disabled myself, and the system already in place for disabled people needs a big reform as well. So to give you an example, so I'm not on any sort of disability benefits because I'm going back to school trying to retrain. But when my mom, before she passed away, she was on disability benefits, and it was just not enough to survive on. I'm talking about like $900 a month. And when you think about skyrocketing rent, like, going up towards $700, $800 just for like a 1 to 2 bedroom apartment, there's no way to survive on, the disability benefits. But anyway, so going back to Medicaid though, that would help out significantly, not having to pay all those, paying the high costs of prescriptions, a whole bunch of, doctor's visits, whatever it may be. We can definitely help out with that at the state level.
Thank you.
Thank you. As a person that is on disability income, I can attest to the things you speak of, but again, another story for another day. Allie or Lagenzi.
I'll jump on in there. what do you feel is the number one most important issue for our Kansas that whether you win or not, you would like to see be addressed?
I'm going to say two of them, but probably the most important thing is a living wage. A lot of people in my generation, millennials, a lot of us are making minimum wage right now, which is, you know, 11.25 an hour, which is just not a living wage. It's not at all, especially when like you can barely get affordable health care. So we can do something about that at the state level. We can bump up the minimum wage to an actual living wage, but something that's kind of coupled with that is some sort of rent relief and giving renters some rights. Right now, everything is in favor of landlords. So giving renters a little bit of peace of mind that they won't be kicked out on the street, you know, just whenever, that I think that would also help.
Okay. Before Leganzi comes in, I have a follow-up addendum to Allie's question. And so we know the age range is roughly 25 to 40 for millennials. How do you feel you could help impact educating them and getting them motivated to join, and I hate to use the word the movement, but for lack of a better word, a movement towards a better quality of life for all, especially that age group? Because let's be realistic, college is not for everybody. Maybe a trade school or certificate program or something like that. But the old adage from my generation and back was go to college, get a degree, get a job, you know, but that's realistically not for everybody. So how do you feel you can impact, empower, encourage your age group to do a little bit more and become more motivated?
I'm going to try to answer that in two parts. So the first way is just putting myself out there as a young person running for office. So I am a student. I go to A-State and I'm part of the A-State Young Dems, which you have to be under 35 for that. So I met with a lot of people last week at the organizational fair who were just kind of flabbergasted that a young person was running for the state legislature. So I think just putting myself out there saying you can do this, and not only you can do this, I care about what you care about because, you know, we're in the same boat for the most part. So that there's that, but also, so a lot of people are very disenfranchised. They don't think that their vote counts. But to kind of touch on, you know, college may not be for everybody, going to a trade school, et cetera. Something we can do at the state level is give free community college. So 2 years for free. Not only would that help with inflation, increasing prices of everything, it would help with the student loan issue as well, not having to take out as much loans.
All right, thank you for that. Leganzi, do you have anything?
I'm just still monitoring the Facebook Live feed. Let's see if we have any new shout outs on there. And Facebook keeps changing around the algorithm. I have to access everything. That's what happened when you manage 11 pages. So we'll go to Allie until I can come back.
Okay. Allie or Brittany?
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to go directly to Allie. We can go to
Actually, you really had my brain go back to something between the two answers. So with a living wage, that's very important. I feel everyone should have one as well. Something I noticed, though, that was a trickle effect of the state minimum wage increase last time was an increase also in childcare expenses, because those owners then had to make sure they could provide their workers with that minimum wage, which they well deserve above. But one thing I've noticed throughout the years since then is that some people are having to choose between paying for childcare and quitting their job. They can't do both because they don't make enough. Their check is childcare for the month. And it just doesn't make financial sense. And so I'm trying to see do you have, I know it's a last minute question, but is there anything that you could think of that you would, like to implement or suggest if you were elected for that situation?
Lots of things actually. So as we know with COVID, a lot of people started staying home. So schools, they shut down in 2020. So that meant like at least one parent would have to be home with their kid. So not only that, women were primarily affected. So a lot of women would have to just completely quit their jobs to stay home with the kids. And that could have been avoided if we had some form of subsidized childcare in place, or another thing could be universal pre-K, because that would back up the age a little bit. But those are things that we can do at the state level to kind of help ease that burden. But definitely increasing the minimum wage to a living wage it should help. Hopefully doing all of those things together would solve that problem.
Thank you.
All right, so Allie or Legenzi?
All right, let's go back to the Facebook Live. We've got some new shout outs. John Williams, Chris Engel have joined on the Facebook Live feed. The discussion is still jumping. Chenoa, would you like to answer a question or two? Listen, we got a couple minutes left over from the feed.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll let Brittany choose a question from the feed.
It's all on you.
Okay. It's okay. I see what you're talking about, Leganza. It is just moving. It is literally jumping. And it just jumped again. I believe someone mentioned, I'm going based off of what I saw real quick. Someone did mention community college, which you brought up, but I'm trying to see what was their point with it, and it won't let me without.
I think this is one where John Williams said, how do you plan to combat the long-term costs of free community college Medicaid expansion you propose without increasing taxes?
Okay, yes.
So right now we have legalized medical marijuana, and we're bringing in a lot of tax money. But just think of how much we could bring in if we were to legalize that recreationally. There would be so much there. We would be able to do so much for our state and for our Kansans. So that would be a good place to get that money.
Okay, I forgot about that pocket of money.
Now, I do want to ask, since you brought up the marijuana aspect, what about the lottery? Is it actually still as effective? The funds that are supposed to be raised from that, is it still as effective in going towards education costs, scholarships, and things of that nature?
So I will admit, I don't quite know. Yeah, I'm not real sure. I do know that so when I was going to school, it was right before the lottery was implemented, but it was the same like kind of scholarship you got from it. And I just think that you would probably have to bump up the amount of scholarships that you can get from the lottery. I can't remember what it's called exactly, but I feel like you would need to expand it to make up for the rising cost of tuition.
Okay.
All right, Allie, take it away.
Okay. Are there any upcoming events that you have going on, or if people wanted to get in touch with you, what would be the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, so I have been hosting some postcard writing parties. So I will have a postcard writing party on September the 9th and September the 23rd at Native at 6 p.m. So that will help. So you come and you write some postcards, and we have a really good time doing it. But that's a way to contact voters and help get out the vote. So there will also be a debate between me and my opponent on September 23rd. It will be the Political Animals Chamber of Commerce debate, and I'm still waiting on more details on that.
Okay, just one thing, I'm sorry, Allie. When you get a chance to go back through the Facebook comments, if you could please go and try to address, as many of the questions and comments as you can. One in particular that was asked by John Williams, is there data to show that marijuana tax revenue will be sufficient in covering the cost you propose? So really interested to hear. I know may not have time to answer it here, but definitely would you please go back and address that, and then the others that you can. Thank you. Sorry, Allie.
Yeah.
Oh, you're fine.
And a way to contact me, you can reach out to me on social media. So I'm on pretty much all of them, including Facebook. But you can also go to my website, chenoaforarkansas.com, and hopefully somebody will put that in the comments somewhere. It's CHENOA number 4 AR.
Please, Stephen already has.
Okay, cool. But yeah, you can contact me there as well.
Okay.
Okay. We got roughly 3 minutes left. Anybody else got?
Well,
Want to jump in?
if there's any final statement you would like to make, to plead your case, to plead your why you should vote for me, what would you say? What do you have to say?
Yeah. So it's apparent the status quo is not working. So Arkansas is at the bottom of many lists, and we need a change. Perhaps bringing in more young people could help influence that change. So like me, there's other state Senate candidates that are also I guess as young as me, Nick Cartwright being one of them. And another thing, so why would more companies want to come to Arkansas and do business in Arkansas if, for instance, we have an abortion ban, rent is so high, there's not a living wage here already. There's just not really a whole lot going for us right now. So we have an opportunity to actually make some real change. And I think that's another reason to vote for me, because I'm bringing in new ideas, and I want to change and improve the quality of life for everybody here.
All right, thank you so much for that, Allie.
I don't have anything else.
Okay,
Well,
and again,
I guess I'll end it off. So, you talk about wanting to do change. Of course, change does not happen in a vacuum, and this is something that we typically ask candidates. And of course, in the real world, there is gridlock. If you do get elected, you're going to have to deal with people who are going to have different opinions than you. How do you think that you will be able to use your social skills and political skills to navigate that in the interest of getting something done?
Yeah, so I kind of feel like this is genetic. My mom was a talker. She could talk to just about anybody, and I can as well. So I can put, some differences aside. Of course, we have to say, human rights are not on the table for debate or discussion, but I'm flexible on other things, So I'm willing to sit down and have a civil conversation. So.
okay.
All right.
Well, we thank
Well,
you so much.
All right, and of course, their website is Chenoa for RAR, I believe, correct?
Yes.
All right, that is Chenoa, CHEONA the number 4AR. I believe Stephen can drop it again in the comments. And that's going to do it for this edition of Community Conversations. And of course, as always, Kayla K and the Voice of Arkansas Minority Advocacy Council. We do not endorse, support, or oppose any candidate for office. We provide these interviews for informational purposes only. Election day is November 8th. Early voting is October 24th. And the last day to register to vote is October 10th. And what was the date that you mentioned that that debate would be?
September 23rd.
September 23rd. And of course, KLEK, we will bring that to you live as well. All right, that's going to do it for this edition. Thank you so much for coming on, and we wish you the best in your campaign. Just like this morning, we wish Senator Sullivan the best in his campaign as well. You guys have a great and blessed day. This is KLEK 102.5 FM.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Also, well done, boss. You got out just